Okay, for everybody joining us online, thanks for showing up. So my name's Jacob Walker, and what we're doing today is two talks, one on Vim, and then my friend Matthew Keeler doing a talk on Emacs. We've been talking about doing these for a couple of years. Part of the reason why we didn't, was like, how do I really truly represent Vim, and how do I really do it justice, and like really show everything that it could do? And I think the thing that made it work for me is I decided that I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to show you everything Vim can do. I'm not going to show you all of the nuanced features. I would definitely love to talk to you about them whenever. Vim is one of my favorite things to talk about. What I'm going to tell you about today is what I like about Vim. Not nearly exhaustive list of things. So if you came here expecting to see this, what? Okay. All right. Let's just kind of take this from the top. You know what? I'm just gonna I'm gonna edit this out. So just for the new video starting now, okay. Hey, thanks for showing up. My name is Jacob Walker. This is Talk About Vim. If you came here expecting to see this, you're going to be disappointed, because instead you're going to see more like this. So let's go through and just hit on the highlights here. What do I like about Vim? Probably the thing I like the most about Vim is efficiency. And some people like to, there's this thing you can find online that equates Vim to ninjas and Emacs to pirates, which really makes me sad, because I identify with the pirate side of this argument, but I identify more with Vim in the debate, so I'm conflicted internally. With Vim, the focus is on efficient editing, or just not just editing, efficient workflows and efficient movements, like economy of motion. With Vim, you typically never move like your forearms from this home row position if you can avoid it. So right now my hands are on the home row, and like I'll move my fingers around the keyboard, but like my wrists hardly move. I don't move my hand to a mouse. I don't move my hand to like the arrow keys over here. I try not to like stretch for the far reaches of my keyboard if I can avoid it. Just quick, precise, measured cuts. A lot of people like that Vim is lightweight. The startup time is negligible. So here, Vim, okay, it started up. And that's even with my customized Vim, which has a ton of plugins added on. I remember back in the day when I used NetBeans, if I had to reboot it, I was like, okay, well, something crashed. I have to like shut down the IDE, start it back up, and go get a coffee while I wait for everything to come back up. This is on like a memory-constrained machine. With Vim, you can use it over SSH. Like right now, I'm just in the terminal on my local machine, but if I was SSH'd onto my server at home and working there, you wouldn't be able to tell the difference, which is really great. It's Vim, or at least VI. So if you're not familiar, there was Ed, which is an editor way back in the day that was not a visual editor. It was a line editor. It was hard to use. And then it had a visual mode called VI. And then Bill Joy created VI, the editor. And then Vim came along, and a bunch of others. This Vim is the one that stuck around, which is VI improved. But the core things of what makes Vim great are still present in VI, and almost all Unix-flavored machines have VI or maybe Vim installed on them by default. So if you do like system administration work, or if you're getting on a lot of different Unix systems throughout the day, they will almost all have VI available. Talking about efficiency again, there's a website, Vim Golf. What you do is you download Vim Golf, so it's like a Ruby gem. You gem install it, and then when you go to use it, you do a challenge. So like here, let's see. So here's a challenge. So if you have a file that starts with this text, you want it to end with this text in the smallest number of keystrokes possible. This is a competition that people do. So this user, Ninja Basis 777, did it in 15. Got a score of 15, and it looks like most of these people did. And most of them, more or less, looks like they're having the same or similar strategies. So it's just kind of like speaking to the whole efficiency of them. The next point is extensibility. This is one where I will totally succeed the point to Emacs that with Vim it's about efficiency and Emacs is more about extensibility. But Vim is also really extensible. One of the things is I like to say that like with Vim it's like my operating system is my IDE. So a lot of people that get into Vim a lot will use something like Screen or Tmux to have, so you're just like living in your terminal and doing things in the terminal throughout the day. Or a lot of people will also like use Control-Z to background their terminal, do whatever they want, run some tests, or whatever it is they need to do, and foreground and jump it back in. Undo. Let's get there's also, I guess I wanted to show this. So I have to. Here I'm in some project. If you've ever used just like regular Vim, stock Vim that comes with the distribution, there's not a whole lot of stuff that you might be used to from like IDEs, from bigger applications. So here I'm in this project. I'm going to launch Vim. I'm looking for some file. So here I'm using like there's this plugin Control-P. I can do fuzzy finding. I know I'm looking for something that's like, it was called something. It was like buffer. Yeah, there we go. sshbuffer.go. Okay, so here I'm in this file here, and I want to get an overview of all of the things that are in this file. So I'm going to invoke tagbar. So here I can see that I have this struct or class called buffer, has these different fields and has an embedded type and some methods on it, and there's a function associated with it. Here's another type called element. Maybe I want to do like and get an overview of all of the stuff, all the files in this project. I can. Oh, I've got a tiny screen here. It's a little better. So nerd tree. There's also Vim has a great options built in for this. But if you want the more kind of IDE style, I've got the file listings down here on the left. Here I'm going to go open this file. If I want to run the tests, here, I don't know if you can see that. Let's make it a little bigger. If you see in the bottom left corner, here, let's close that. You can see it's like, oh, I ran the tests and they passed. So like I'm doing all this stuff from my editor. And my point on this is just that Vim, it's extensible. Anything that your IDE can do, I can do in Vim. But there's a big asterisk on the end of that. I would not say that anything that your IDE can do, you can do in stock Vim. Like, I wouldn't try to make that claim. I like to equate it to home brewing, like beer. There's a lot easier ways to drink beer. You just go to the store and you buy it, and there you go, you're done, and it's great. But if you wanted to, like, if you want to make it yourself, you might brew it at home, and like if you really get into it. So if you're really into your editor and you're really into the environment that you're working in, Vim and Emacs give you those options to really customize it and extend it and make it work for your workflow and really get integrated into your machine, your operating system, your environment. There's a lot of pre-built like distributions that are available. SPF 13 is the one that I started on. It's the distro, the Vim distro, which is really, it's like a Vim configuration or collection of plugins and configurations. SPF 13 is the one that got me to really take Vim from like just an editor to more like an IDE, get that kind of IDE experience. Janus is another one that's really popular. I'd recommend if you check out some of these, get ideas, maybe you use them, and eventually if you're interested enough, customize them yourself, make your own. There's a lot of different ways you can do it. Go get on GitHub or Bitbucket or whatever and look at a lot of people will post their dot files. their configuration files. Mine are online. Matthew's are online. Seth, I think several other people in this room have them online. So if I haven't talked about that enough, Vim is just super extensible. One thing that I really like that is part of the efficiency of Vim is how working in Vim, it's like writing a program. It's like Vim itself is a programming language. There is a language called VimScript, which is for writing Vim plugins and configurations and stuff, but not that. I just mean that like using the editor feels like spoken language, really. There's several talks and blog posts about this idea that with Vim, it's you're talking to your editor. So I'm right here. You see where my cursor is, the blinking box, right? So if I do di double quote, and I wonder if it would be worth. Anybody feel like this helps? I've got this little tool here showing my keystrokes. Whatever. Okay. So here, if I do di double quote, that's delete inside double quotes. So if I put it back to how it was, or like vi double quote is like visual mode inside double quotes, or visual inside quotes. Here, if I put my cursor here and I do C3W, that's change 3 words. So C is for change, which means delete something and then go into insert mode. And then like 3W is the motion, so it means 3 words. So from where I was, I deleted those 3 words, and now I'm back in insert mode. If you're not familiar with Vim, it has modes. So there's, right now I'm in what's called normal mode, and you can see in the bottom left corner it says normal. And so in normal mode, I'm just navigating around. You can see I'm using J to go down, K to go up, L, H, going left and right. When you want to start editing text, you would use one of the other modes. Like if I go into insert mode, I hit I, and now I'm in insert mode, and I can start typing. And when I hit escape, I go out of insert mode, I'm back into normal mode. And then now H, J, K and L are moving. It's not typing. Or another idea of this idea of the language is, here, let's do, and open a new tab. This, no, if this is what I want. No. Oh, no, I can do this over here on this example. Here, move this. Right here where my cursor is, I'm inside this function. So you can see that there's this curly brace here, and then there's this matching curly brace down here. I'm like going back and forth between lines 45, 56. So this is all a block. So I can do di capital B. Oh, where I was in the wrong spot. Be like di capital B to delete in block, or VIB to do visual selection in block, or CIB to change in block. I could do change around block. Oh, no, I keep doing it on that line. Change around block would get the curly braces as well. There's just a bunch of different ways you can do this, and you learn the language of Vim, and then you learn how to talk to your editor, and then you can edit almost as fast as you can think. It's like editing at the speed of thought is a blog post I like, talking about this idea. Out of that. Another thing I like about Vim is its consistency. So you have the option to, there's a command, or there's a, I don't know what you call it. There's a key you can press F that it finds forward, so you'll like jump forward in a line to the next character. So if I do FX, it takes, I did C. FX jumps me, I'm off by 1, dang it. FX, there we go, jumps me forward to the next X. FX again, FX, FX. To go backwards, you use a capital F. So capital FX, capital FX, capital FX. There's another one that's similar to F that's called T, which is like until. So if I did tx, it would jump me forward to just before the next x. So tx, tx. Stuck. There we go. And the thing about consistency that I'm pointing out here is that if you first learned F, and then you learn that and capital F is for going backwards, then you learn T, you can just assume that capital T would be the go backwards version of T, and it is. I'm really sorely lacking in examples of the consistency here, but there's a lot of things in Vim where once you start to learn its idiosyncrasies and the way of Vim, you can just kind of guess at how they would work, and a lot of times you're right, because the editors do, or the developers making Vim and extending Vim do a really good job of keeping things consistent. Another thing, just to kind of touch on a couple things. One thing I like is visual block mode. So I mentioned that there's like normal mode, which is what we're in now. There's insert mode where you can start typing stuff, or there's like replace mode where you're like typing over something. There's also visual mode. So here, like I go into visual mode, and I'm moving around to visually select something. This is visual mode. There's visual line mode where you select entire lines at a time. It doesn't matter what column you're in. Or one that I really like is called visual block mode. So if I do Control V, I'm in visual block. So I can select like a rectangle's worth of text and then do something to it. Like if I want to delete it all, or if I want to go into visual block mode, and then I can go into insert mode here and start typing something, and like put it on all the lines. So like I'll use this a lot if I want to I'll go into like visual block mode, and like jump to the top, go into insert mode. I'm just gonna like comment all that out. I actually have a plugin called Nerd Commenter that I'd use instead, but if I didn't, that's what I would do. Visual block is nice. Registers are a nice thing in Vim. When you in Vim, you don't copy and paste. You yank and put. Or if you delete, that's similar to yank in that it'll copy that text. And whenever you yank text, you're putting it into a register, and you have all the registers like 0 through 9, A through Z, and then a couple other punctuation marks that where you can store things. So here, if I'm gonna copy this line, or I'm gonna yank it, so I do YY. Great. So I've copied that line, and now I can paste it with P, or put it. So I'll do put. Let me just undo. If I do this command, reg or registers, you can see the different registers where I have that I have so far. So like the first one, double quote, that was like the last thing that I yanked, and then and so is 0, and then like 0 through 9 will just kind of like be the history of stuff. It'll like cycle through them as you delete text. But you can also, if you want to keep something around, this is actually something that people that start to use Vim will find frustrating, that I will copy some line, and then I'm going to go somewhere, and I want to put this in multiple places, and then I'll like delete some other line, forgetting that deleting that line would also be like copying it. It would put it into the register. So if you wanted to keep that around to use it longer, so like here, if I want to take consistency, if I do double quote J yank, it yanked it into register J. So if we look in the registers here on this line, it's like register J is this text. Okay. So here, if I yank this line and put, so now like this line is what's in my default register. But if I want to paste from register J, it's double quote JP, and so then now I'm pasting from that register. You can also get Vim to interface with your system's clipboard, and you can define a particular register that just is your system's clipboard. So here, if you like look at my registers over here, and then so I'm not going to use Vim, I'm just using my operating system, and we're going to now let's see, all of this text here. I'm going to just copy that into my system's clipboard. So now when I look at this again, oops. Yeah, here we go. So like these registers are for my my system clipboard, so that I can yank to that register and then go paste it into like an instant messenger, or if I copy from an instant messenger, then I can go paste it there. Or you can have your Vim configured to by default copy into and paste out of that system clipboard register, so that you can just yank and then come over here and do Control V and it'll paste. Another thing that I really like in Vim is macros. Anytime I have to do something more than once, I try to do it in a macro if I can, even really short macros. So with a macro, what you're doing is you record the key presses, you record the steps that you're doing, and then you can replay them later. So like, for example, so to record it, you hit Q to say, I'm going to start recording the macro, and then you hit another letter to say like which register you want to record it into. So we'll do, a lot of times you just do Q because it's easy. You just do QQ. So right now I'm recording the macro into register Q. So for this macro, I'm going to hit O to put in a new line, and I'm going to type hello Vim. I'm going to hit escape, and then I'm going to stop recording. So now if I replay that macro, you do @ and then the register, so like shift2 and then the name of the register, so I can do. So that wasn't very complicated. I could have just accomplished that with yank and put. Most things, again, getting back to that consistency, almost everything in Vim also accepts count, an argument. So here, if I want to like undo those. So instead of saying @Q to say run macro Q, I could say 100 @Q, which will run that macro 100 times. Or sometimes you'll make recursive macros, so you have a macro that calls itself, and as soon as it hits an error, it'll stop. So if I wanted to, like, there's more efficient ways to do this, but if I wanted to delete this entire document, I would start recording the macro, delete this line. Oh, here. Let's make sure macro Q is empty. Okay. So I would start recording the macro, delete a line, call macro Q, done. So now if I want to say, okay, call macro Q, it just recurses and does it all. And you'll see an example here in a little bit of how useful that can be. Another one I really like is filters. This is a feature that doesn't get used as often as I think it should, and it really helps you integrate with your environment. Because with filters, now you can just basically, like, you can run external commands from Vim. So can you see in the bottom left corner? You can. Can you guys see in the bottom left corner? Okay. So I've gone to command mode. It's another. So there's like visual mode, normal mode, insert mode. Command mode, you start typing these like EX commands. And so one, it's we're going to use a bang or exclamation mark, and we're going to run the external command ls. Press enter, and you can see that it ran ls. So that's what was in it. And then press enter, and I get back into my command. And that's great. Right here. I'm going to open a new tab. In Vim, it's really easy to have tons of different files open, or if you like the tabbed kind of mode, like in Sublime Text or like an IDE, you can do tabs as well. Here, I just have like different files open in buffers. So one thing that I really like to do, so with filters, okay, stay on topic. Filters, you can take a range of lines in your document and make those lines the standard input that is going to be piped into some command you define, and then the standard output from that command will replace those lines in your document. So what I can do here, and the way you do it is you give it a range. So in Vim, % means the whole document, dot means the current line. You can do like from mark A to mark B. There's a lot of different, or you could say from line 1 to line 25. We're just going to do the current line. We're going to pipe it through the command tree. And tree is a command that just like walks the directory structure and prints it out nice and pretty. I really like doing this when I want to make like a README on a small project, and I want to say like, here's the structure of this application, and then like maybe put in comments about the bin folder. That's what this is for. The node modules folder. That's what this is for, or whatever. So yeah, so the thing that I did here was I took or here. I've done some pretty funky stuff where one time I had there was like a list of tables, I think, like from a database, like food table, bar table, Baz table, something. And so I made I would record a macro that would like take this, and it would be like select star from information schema. Oh, let's get out of the way. Columns, right? Where table schema. I'm messing up the names here. Hang on. Right, so like I'd write this, and then I'd be like, oh, MySQL-u root-b my password, h my host. Great. So I would use Vim to construct some elaborate command that I needed to run, and then I would take this line and I would pipe it through Bash. I'd be like, just execute this. And so then it would go, this is going to fail. Oh, unknown MySQL server, my host, yeah. Then I could do that as part of my macro. So I would say, like, I would have this like whole list of like maybe user IDs or something, and I wanted to go through and for each one of these, I wanted to run one or more queries, and based on the output, maybe copy that username to. I would do like I would have like a vertical split going on here. Or here, let's do that. I would do like here, like over here, I have a list of things, and I would run some queries, and based on their output, maybe copy them over to the other buffer, so I could like filter through a list quickly. You know, just kind of just like using Vim like a programming language, like a scripting language. Instead of like writing a script to do something with all this text, sometimes it's easier for me to just do it in Vim. I know Tanner and I have done this where we need to do some complicated refactoring of an entire code base, and we would like we would write shell scripts that would find all the files that match some criteria, and then execute that file. We would say vim that file, and then like on the command line you could specify like a macro to run, and we would give it like a predefined vimrc that had a particular macro that would look through and replace instances of something, but based on some criteria that we couldn't just do with like sed and awk. But like there's just tons of stuff you can do. And I'm kind of off topic, so let me get back. Anyway, filters are great. So now we're going to get to the finale of my presentation, and you'll get a chance to do a little bit of participation here. Let me kind of get that out of the way. So I have this idea. I have this theory. I don't know what's the word for it. If I was still in college and if I was going for some kind of like maybe English graduate like degree or something, maybe this would be my big thesis at the end. So if any of you are pursuing like degrees like this and you want to use it for your thesis, that's fine. You go for it. I don't have the time or energy to really flesh out this idea. Just credit me. So I have this, I'm trying to coin a phrase, acronym density. So I want to, when you have an acronym, I want to be able to measure that acronym's density. So the way I would define this, like CEO is an acronym. It's three characters long, which when you expand it out is Chief Executive Officer. So including the spaces, that's 23 characters. So 23 divided by 3 is 7.66. So CEO has an acronym density of 7.66. So kind of like that Vim golf, for this exercise, we're going to take a line that looks like this, and we're going to turn it into a line that looks like this. And this is how we're going to do it. Sound good? Okay. Back on. There we go. That's the whole thing. So let me just get some acronyms from everybody.
HTML.
HTML. And what does that stand for? Hypertext Markup Language. Okay.
Linux.
Is Linux an acronym? But GNU is, which stands for GNU is not Unix, and I don't recurse. Well, for what? Oh, it doesn't matter. It for consistency, I do, but it won't affect my. Ajax. So this stands for ACE. Oh God, I'm still wrong. SNIS, JavaScript, and XML. I will further expand things. I won't recurse, but I will expand as much as I can until I hit recursion. So XML stands for Extensible Markup Language. So Ajax looks pretty dense. Anybody have any others? Foobar. Yeah. Called up. Beyond all repair.
FICT is an acronym of sorts.
Yeah, let's see. Developers, which time? We'll get an exclamation mark in there. So here, I want to capitalize this whole word, so we're going to do like G blah. There we go. Any others?
NASA.
What's NASA stand for?
National Aeronautics and Space Administration.
Aeronautics. Somebody correct my spelling if I'm wrong. Oh yeah, Vim can correct my spelling. It's fine. Fine.
NPM. NPM is not an acronym. Oh wait, LOL.
The PHP it stands for PHP Hypertext Processor. It's changed a couple of times. LOL. Laugh out loud. Laughing out loud.
QETNWS.
Quietly exhaling through nostrils while, is this smiling or smirking? Okay. There's a great open source project online to document all of the like truth, honesty in acronyms. So you might get a link, point that out to you. So okay, great. So we've got all this. So let's take it and how are we going to do this? I already know how I'm going to do it. So let me just walk you through the steps. So I'm going to take this line. First, I'm going to have to do this more than once. So I'm going to record a macro. So I'm going to do QQ. So I'm recording macro Q. Usually you'll try a couple of different ways and like come up with something that works. This is going to be a rather long one, but because I've already worked out how I want to do it. But so I'm going to take this line. I'm going to yank that line. I'm going to put it 2 times. Then I'm going to delete up to the first equal sign, and then delete that character as well. We're going to take this line, and we're going to filter it through the shell command WC, which stands for word count. I'm going to pass the flag -C, which means I want characters, and I'm going to press enter. Now, it counted the new line at the end of that. There might be a flag for WC, but I'm going to just use Control-X, which will decrement this number by 1. Next, I'm going to go into append at the end of the document, so with capital, or at the end of the line with capital A. I'm going to put in a space and a slash, and I'm going to hit escape. So I'm right here if you're following along. I'm going to jump to the beginning of the line, go down 1. I'm going to jump to the first space, and then I'm going to delete to the end of the line with capital D. I'm going to go into command mode, take this line, filter it through word count again with -C flag, press enter. Decrement to chop off that new line. I'm going to go up a line. I'm going to use capital J, which will join the 2 lines together. I'm going to yank that and put it so I have a copy of that. Because I want to come back to it. So then I'm going to take this line. I'm going to filter it through a shell command called BC, which is a calculator command, with the -L flag because it's just the easier way to use BC. So I already have the string 23/3, 23 divided by 3. I'm going to pipe that through BC, and it gives me 7.66. So that's pretty good. That's too precise for what I want. I could have put a different flag on BC, and it would have given me different precision. But instead in Vim, I'm going to like jump to the first dot. I could have just moved over 1, but I don't know that I'm going to get a number under 10 from this result. So you have to generically. So I jump to the first dot, and then I'm going to go 3 to the right with 3L. I'm going to delete to the end of the line. I'm going to go up a line, jump to the end, hit a space and an equals, hit escape, and I'm going to do that again. So maybe I could have a macro for this. I'm going to go up 1 line, jump to the end, do a space and an equals, hit escape. I'm going to join those 2 lines together, and then I'm going to invoke this formatting plugin that I have called tab. Great. Looks kind of ugly right now because of the formatting. Then I'm going to hit a J at the end, which puts me on the next line. There's a problem. When I
It's still got the character, just turning the line wrap.
Yeah. No wrap. There we go. All right. So I'm here. So I'm on hypertext markup language. So I'm going to do @q. And you know what? Let's just take that out of the mix. @q. A little bit better. Okay, you know what? No, let's undo. It's a little bit bigger so you can see. I'm going to go to line 12. I'm going to do @q. Right, so we figured out GNU. And it looks like there's, like, let's just do like 10 @q. Great, so that's pretty good. Thank you. My problem right now, I don't know. I mean, there's only, what, like 11 of these? So I could look at them and figure out that what Ajax of all of those is the most dense. But what if there was thousands of these and I couldn't just scan through them with my eyes? So we're going to do another filter. We're going to go from line 10 to line 21. We're going to pipe that to another shell command called sort. Here, let's, all right, make it a little bigger. So line 10 to 21, we're going to pipe it through sort. We're going to tell it to delimit on equal signs, and we're going to key off of column 4, sort this numerically in reverse order, and then let me, nope. Here we go. So when I do that, I was like, oh, okay, great. So now Ajax jumped to the top. Let's play with this experiment a little bit more. How much time do I have? I have time to do one of these exercises. So if I was going to take, I want more data, right? Because this is my thesis. This is my graduate thesis project, acronym density. And not only am I trying to coin the phrase, like this for real, not only am I trying to coin this phrase, but I also want to find the generally accepted term. So technical jargon is okay, as long as it's generally accepted. The generally accepted acronym that has the highest acronym density. And I have one that is denser than all the ones we've come up with so far, but I still have not found a denser one. So I need more data. So we're going to go onto the World Wide Web. So here's some website that I found that has some data. So this looks pretty good. Let's take all of this. All right. My mouse is kind of sensitive. I'm going to copy that. And I don't want to mess with this data that I have right here, so I'm just going to, I want to make a new tab. And I hit P to paste in from my system clipboard. So this will actually be a little bit easier to deal with, I think, if I make this a little bigger. These little green symbols here is how I have my editor configured to represent a tab character. So I know that I wanted to have, well, here, if I do go back here. In order for my macro to work, I need to get all these acronyms into this format. So if I come here, we're going to record a new macro. I'm just going to do QQ. And then, so for this macro, I'm going to say find a tab. And then we're going to go change to the right, space equals space. And then find a tab again, and then delete to the end, come back over, jump. And let's do like 300, do that 300 times. It hit line 27 and died, so you can use giant numbers. And like if you really want to just run till it dies, it's fine. So that's pretty good. I might kind of like look through this. Does any of this look wrong? Well, that looks pretty long. I mean, I guess. I might question that one, but we'll leave it in there. It's fine. Right. So here, I'm going to take all that, put it back, and paste it down here. I have a problem. I reused Q. So when I go to do Q again, it's not the one that we made earlier. That's okay, because I put that macro right here earlier when I was developing it, and because remember, macros just like build up all of your commands as characters in a register, and we know that we can yank into registers because when I made the macro the first time, I just pasted from that register, and now it's just part of this file. So if I like select this whole thing and I do double quote Q yank, oh, too many yanks. Great. So now if I do QP, you can see that it's in that in register Q. If I do reg, and here register Q is that giant macro we created. So cool. Now I can go to line 23, jump to the top. Let's make this macro recursive instead of just running it 100 times. Let's do a recursive one. So let's take that macro, again, Q. So the way it works, I'm going to turn on line wrapping. Okay, so the macro is I'm going to yank, I'm going to put 2 times, delete, and I'm going to say delete to the next equal sign, blah, 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 blah. Okay, we're not going through all that again. So I finish a line, and then I hit J, I go down to the next line. And then when I'm done with that line, what I want to do is I want to just do @Q, and then enter. Here's a way to like generate the Vim symbol for enter. I always forget it, and I end up just cheating and just like, let's just cut that one. And it's like, okay, good enough. Great, so now when I yank that into Q, we can confirm Q, yep, it's there. So now when I do @Q, stop, undo, undo, do, delete, turn off, line wrap, wait, no wrap, a little better. So now when I do Q, should just go. Let me get this done. Cool. Then there's some pretty dense ones in there. So I guess let's sort it again. I'm going to reuse from my history, though. If I do, no, it's like that. I'm going to look through the history of commands that I've ran. So we're going to do 10 through, and I'm just using Vim to edit my Vim commands. 10 through 46, enter. Okay, great. So that and cell is 14.8. That's pretty dense. Let's add one more. This is the one that I found is the densest, is XHR, which is XHTML, isn't it like XHTML request, right? Yeah. But the X stands for XML, which we know stands for Extensible Markup Language. And we know this stands for hypertext markup language. Oh, you want to check my logic on that? I mess up, right? XHR is extensible.
XHR is an XML HTTP request.
Oh, even better. Right. So it's XML HTTP request. Right. I didn't think that was right. But HTTP stands for Hypertext Transfer Protocol. Oh. The spell check's on, so it likes it. That recursion. Now when I run it, 20.66. This is a dense acronym. So really, if anybody finds a denser acronym, let me know. I'm really curious. This is like my little distraction. We could go on with like more things you can do with this. So like here I can do, if you try to open a URL like on the internet, just going to curl that website and get the document back. So this is another way I could have accomplished the same problem. I remember like what 1080p was the first one. So like here's the data. I could go, okay, let's do delete to the beginning. Nope, I meant another way. Delete to the beginning, delete to the end. So now here I have all this data, and then I could, how does this look? I could go through and format it and break it out, try to like parse this HTML table and get all of the keys and values of the different pieces, and then do the same thing and add it into my data. But I think at this point I've kind of pushed what I've set for myself as a time limit. We want to get, Matthew's all the way over there on the East Coast, so he's staying up late. So does anybody have any questions about Vim? Tom?
Why didn't you let Keeler go first?
That was a good question. Why didn't I let Keeler go first? And the answer is so we can leave him on the webcam after the presentations are done if people want to come up and ask him questions and, you know, and hang out with us for the after party. Any other questions? About acronyms?
I think Matthew wants you to send him the abbreviation list or the acronym list.
Okay.
He's going to do it live.
Okay. Well, it's on Gist. So I'll just copy that. And I'll send it to him. Yeah. So Matt, you probably didn't hear that. You need to take a screenshot right now of all this information, and then have Emacs parse the screenshot. Okay. Well, I'm going to go ahead and get things switched over for Matthew. So we're going to take a quick break. Anybody that's watching online, we're going to have to end this presentation. Maybe not.
We might have to.
I think so.
On Twitter to check.
Yeah, the speakers on this laptop are not going to work.
No, I know. You can invite me to the hangout. And then
Okay. Well, if you're watching online, just follow me on Twitter, Matthew Keeler, or DevICT would be even better, dev_ICT. And we will tweet out if there's a new link. So for now, I'm signing off. Thank you very much.